It took a jury just over 1 hour to return their guilty as charged verdict against Jamie Day. Well, you can see it behind me. Crews are towing away that bus out of the ditch now. They've already towed away the black pickup truck. The shelter in place has now been lifted for all areas, and that's information from state police, and that's why we were able to move a little bit closer. Behind me is the Axial plant. After the fourth incident, Dr. Roy said enough, and he installed security cameras around the building, all that show the grounds of his property from a different angle. Sherman says the sensors are so advanced that thanks to infrared technology, they work through bad weather situations and at night. Chief Deputy Johnson says their office have received several complaints in the past year, and he says those complaints are coming mostly from elderly residents who those annoying salespeople may see as vulnerable targets. That meeting is underway right now inside of J.D. Clifton behind me, and if anything like the two previous meetings at Washington Marion, they're shedding light on the low-performing schools in this district. I just got off the phone with the administrator of Cameron Parish, who says that news of this closure is absolutely devastating for this community. Southwest Louisiana Republicans hosted a roundtable discussion on the controversial Common Core standards. Well, we're going to go live now back to the Carlos Fire Department, where the Sunrise team is waking up with NBC's Al Roker. 7 people are testing their luck and perseverance as they compete to win a free apartment for 1 year. And sports director Seth Lewis joined us a little early today because right now Kinder High School is in New Orleans playing the big game in the Dome, hoping to bring back that #1 spot.
It takes us quite a bit of time to come out and do this, and we do it for the kids.
It's a pretty elaborate Christmas yard display. Santa Claus, snowmen, reindeer, and lights. But it became the target of senseless vandalism late last night.
They came and vandalized all of our Christmas decorations that we have, and we just had enough. No child should have to see what we saw this morning.
This neighborhood is no stranger to phantom vandalism. Just in October, we reported on a rash of break-ins at a doctor's office located just across the street. But for this family, it's become personal. 2 months ago, after their cars were broken into, they installed security cameras. And what's captured from last night's act is shocking. Here you see 3 young men walking onto the front yard. Then one of them takes down a Christmas tree. A few minutes later, it was onto the carousel, and it was down like a wrestling match.
I mean, you can see the duct tape. There's duct tape here now on the inside because that whole bar was, all the wires and everything were all hung out. So we duct taped it back together to be able to make it work again.
A few minutes after that, they're back, this time going after Santa Claus himself. Santa stayed safe, but the perp leaves his face wide open to the camera.
Everybody knows everybody here, and we try to watch out for each other. We just don't want these punks coming in and stealing and tearing up our stuff that we work hard for.
The family has filed police reports with both city police and the sheriff's office, but they find themselves asking, when will anything be done to stop this?
Something's got to stop, or people will start taking matters into their own hands.
After Monday's mass shooting at the Washington Navy Yard in D.C., Fort Polk security officials like Major John Petkovich are looking at their own procedures to make sure they're doing right.
We train all our soldiers and DA civilian police on active shooter every day here on this installation.
Petkovich is the Provost Marshal of Fort Polk's Directorate of Emergency Services, or DES. While nothing can be 100% prevented, Petkovich says protocol and training is vital in unsuspecting situations.
We also coordinate with all the other units here on the installation and organizations, whether it's a military unit or a civilian organization, and to build up an active shooter plan for each one of their buildings and each one of their organizations as well.
Petkovich oversees the post's security response for any scenario, ranging from a broken bone to a mass casualty event.
Our security protocols try to eliminate the threat before it comes on the installation.
And long before you can roll onto Fort Polk's installation, those security protocols are in full effect.
That scan to that system, it gets vetted against numerous personnel of interest lists. About 182,000 folks personnel that aren't authorized to come on the post.
Visitors are also checked against law enforcement databases.
I have total confidence based on our training and our assessment of our training in all the soldiers, the Department of the Army Civilian Police, and the Department of the Army Security Guards that we can respond effectively to any situation on the installation.
Tyler CLEMONS may be small, but he carries a big stick. 2 of them, actually. They're his drumsticks, and this 4-year-old kid from Moss Bluff takes them everywhere, practicing to perfect his craft. When he gets older, he says all he wants is to
play the drums and be a magician.
You want to be a musician? By the sounds of it, he doesn't have too far to go, but it all had to start somewhere.
He showed interest at a very young age, which is 2, and since then we pretty much encouraged. At first it was the keyboard, and around 4 years old he really took an interest to the drums. So
they brought him his first drum set.
We knew right then and there that it was a talent more than just a phase that he was going through.
Now he plays every day, oftentimes accompanied by his musical family, his mom, aunts, and grandparents.
My mom, she plays the piano. My dad plays the saxophone. I have a sister that plays the flute. We were in high school in the band. I played the clarinet. So it does run in the family music-wise.
Recently, his skills earned him his first professional gig. Well, semi-professional. He plays the drums for the children's choir at his church, a foundation his mom says is the most important. And if one instrument wasn't enough, he's working on his piano repertoire, one note at a time. For the 4-year-old who knows what it means to
play the slow tempo,
he shows no signs of slowing down.
All started with a phone call, and that's when he told me that the body had been found.
Anita Fields Gold is talking about the body of her late uncle, Private First Class Jerry Pat Craig. He was 17 years old when he enlisted in the Army, fighting in the Korean War.
On the 2nd of December, 1950, he was killed at Chosun Reservoir in North Korea.
That was 63 years ago today. Craig was killed at Heartbreak Ridge, and with no traceable DNA or any physical evidence to help identify him, he was buried at the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific and marked as unknown.
There's some estimated 83,000 Americans who never came home from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Michael Mee says a team of forensic anthropologists in Hawaii at JPAC are constantly working to identify recovered remains in hopes of matching them to one of the thousands of unaccounted for veterans.
With the laboratory's technology and advancements and ability to go back and review the records of these unknown interments, they can actually compare databases, they can compare dental matches, they can compare chest radiographs and such, and sometimes they can get DNA.
They compare the different points along here, and there were 25 items of concordance between these, and that's a very high rate for just this much structure of agreement.
Far and away, this is the most rewarding, fulfilling mission that I've ever been a part of. So it's fantastic to brief the circumstances, to bring back these fallen soldiers and airmen, Marines and sailors, and meet with the families, and to be part of this whole process.
In many families, there's not closure until the body comes home. We didn't think we would ever see a body. So 63 years later, we are seeing a body that's coming home.
And she wants to thank those who work in and out identifying unaccounted for servicemen and women.
I want the Army to know that I'm most appreciative of what they have done, what the whole military has done, to identify those who are no longer able to identify themselves.
It's a job that continues, honoring the many heroes of wars past and present, the wounded and fallen in graves that are marked and unmarked, but not to be forgotten. For 15 years, Michael Patterson was a smoker.
One day I got tired of not being able to breathe, and looked into electronic cigarettes.
Now he's a vapor, or one of the millions starting to use electronic cigarettes.
Once I started using them, I haven't looked back since.
2.5 million people use the e-cigarettes, and their stories, for the most part, are similar.
Well, I smoked regular cigarettes for about 2 years, and I started getting like a really bad cough. The cigarettes started making me really sick, but I felt like I needed something to smoke, so I keep smoking cigarettes.
The cigarettes allow smokers to feel like they're smoking something without the added negatives of traditional cigarettes.
There's no tar, there's no fire, there's no ash, there's no secondhand smoke for anyone around you.
Robin Hawker is the owner of the Cigar Club in Lake Charles. She explains the hundreds of flavors and nicotine levels the liquids come in.
You can get 0 nicotine, but continue that habit of enjoying it. And it comes in different flavors, from apple pie to blueberry cheesecake to just regular tobacco or menthol. Must be 18. They are carded. That's the only way they can purchase these electronic cigarettes.
The same goes for Tobacco Plus and ShopRite, who call themselves the e-cig headquarters.
We actually put their birthday in the register. We also keep them in a non-self-serve position, as you can see. behind glass.
Though there's no evidence the e-cigs are better than traditional cigarettes, vapors say it feels better.
I feel a lot better. I can breathe now.
It's just nicotine. It's not all that other nasty stuff inside a regular cigarette.